Hey, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. Please, if you can hear me, let me know. Great, great, great. Welcome to today's session of conversation with Gentility Bright. Our goal for this conversation is to have conversations with leaders from different walks of life, different industries, to understand what they do, how they do what they do, and how each and every one of us can benefit from what they are doing. My name is Gentility Bright. I am a content marketing consultant. I help individuals and organizations tell their stories. I am also a book publisher, so I help you publish your book. A founder of Lead Writers, a content writing and marketing firm agency that helps individuals and organizations tell their stories. I also have a book publishing business where I help you publish your book. So if you are a writer and author looking for somebody to help you tell your stories, I am that guy for you. So I'm not doing this alone today. Very soon my guest will be here, and most of you will know her, most of you will get to meet her today, but she's a wonderful person. I call her the most beautiful woman on Facebook. And the first time I did that, so many persons sent me a DM saying, why will you say that? But I have my reasons. So she'll be here shortly to join the conversation. And I'll have this conversation with her. And in the next 30 to 45 minutes, we will be out of here. So, what are we going to be talking? Okay, we are back. So, I'm sorry, there was a little network issue here. So, we're going to be sharing our adaptive leadership. Going to be talking about the concepts, why it's important in today's world, and who needs it. You understand? So, that's some of the things we're going to be sharing on in the next 30 minutes. So, while we're waiting, she will soon be here, and we're going to have an amazing conversation with my guest. You want to know her name? She's an amazing person, adaptive leadership enthusiast. She's been working with individuals and organizations, helping them train their leaders on how they can adapt. Because adaptive leadership is a great concept in today's workplace, and every organization, every leader should understand the role this plays in in their organizations, in their personal lives, in their leadership, and how they can effectively, make this work for them. So that's what we're going to be sharing on today. So just a minute. Great. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Adaptive leadership. What is it? What is it? Why is it important in our world today, in our business today, in our organizations today? Why do we need this kind of training? Why? What is the concept all about? So if you are a leader, if you are a business person, if you are, an entrepreneur, whatever, even as a pastor, you know, irrespective of what you do, and you have people that you're leading, people that are following you, people that look up to you for guidance, for direction, for mentoring. This is what you need. This is important, and until you get this right, you'll be missing out on certain things that you should be in charge of. So certain things that you should take advantage of. So I reached out to her and I wanted us to have this conversation today, and she agreed to do this with me. So she's here soon, and it's going to be an amazing time. So I look forward to having an amazing conversation with her. I look forward to what we are going to do together here, and I look forward to the impacts we are going to make today. So you are going to learn a lot from our conversation today. It's going to impact you, and you won't leave here the same way, because I know a thing or two you will learn a thing or two, something that you can take with you, something that you can learn from, something that can help you to the next level of your leadership. So that's what conversation is all about today. So in the next few minutes, my guest will be here, sorry, and we're going to have an amazing conversation together. So let me know, use the comment section. What do you understand by adaptive leadership? So how has it impacted you? Have you learned, have you come across these concepts before now?
Hello.
Oh, praise the Lord, she is here.
Oh my goodness. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Very unlike me to join any meeting late. I really apologize. I had problems, technical issues. So I'm so sorry. But it's good to be
It's
here.
fine.
Good afternoon.
It's
Hello.
Nigeria. You look
Oh,
amazing.
thank you. I changed my hairstyle. I
So
cut
I
my
was always telling
I rolled it.
yes, have you seen the picture on Facebook? Yeah. This is totally different from what I knew.
Absolutely.
So I was telling them that you are the most beautiful man on Facebook. So I know some
They
of them
always,
already.
they always citing me,
No,
flattering me. Let me start patting my hair. It doesn't get too big.
no. The hair is beautiful like that. So welcome, man. Good to have you here again.
It's good to be here. It's always a pleasure to
Okay.
share the platform with you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. So I've been telling our audience that I reached out to you to have this conversation in such a short notice, and you agreed to do this with me. I've been following your work for a while. You've spoken in several of my conferences, and I think you are the perfect person to do this job, to do this with me. So, man, I would like us to briefly introduce yourself, because I told them a lot about you, but that will not be enough. So, I think you need to tell us a little about yourself.
Okay. I always want to start my introduction by saying that first, I am human. I know that people might chuckle, when they hear me say that I am human. I mean, why do I have to introduce myself like that? But I am human because now more than ever, when different people the world over, identify as one thing or another, some identify as stones, identify as trees, identify as animals, as whatever it is they identify as. I think it's important for us to introduce ourselves properly now more than ever. So I am human. My name is Boluwatiwi Ayo or Paleke. I am married to the most handsome guy in the world. I have wonderful children. But besides all of that fluff, okay, I am a change person. I am all about positive change. I am about adaptive leadership. All right. And you might wonder why that. Okay, so my life's experiences, my exposures, all that I've been through in life brought me to the place of positive change. Okay. So I was born into a typical Nigerian home. a bit above average background upbringing, and then things went south after a while. I lost my way, and then I realized that I had to take a couple of intentional steps towards restoration, towards restoring myself to who I wanted to be. And what happened was that I ensured that my experiences, that dark time in my life was not going to be a definitive moment of my life. It wasn't going to define me going forward. And so I had to deepen my level of self-awareness and all of that. And so all of the things that I went through, you know, allowed me to see that behavior change is possible, and that you can
Sure.
move from wherever you currently are at to wherever it is you want to be. And the beautiful thing is that, whatever happens for a human being can be replicated in anything in an organization, because an organization, as some people call it, in maybe economics, is that organizations are like living organisms as well, right? So what
Yeah.
that means is that adaptive leadership has a place, positive change has a place for individuals and for organizations. Okay. And that really is why I am into what I do currently. I'm also a creative intelligence certified coach. Okay.
Mm.
That just means that I always seek for creative ways to accomplish whatever task that I have, to do. I always try to engage creatively. Pardon me. I always try to engage as creatively as I possibly can. All right. That is about it for now, so that I don't bore you with all the other things that I do. Thank you for
I,
having me.
I'm already enjoying it, and I trust that they are enjoying it as well. Okay, so let's quickly go into our conversation for today. Let's talk about adaptive leadership. You already laid a good background, for a good introduction for what we are about to talk about today, why you got to go into it. But we want to know what is it? We talk about concept, talk about the why do you think organizations need it today? So let's tell us about adaptive leadership. What is adaptive leadership?
Leadership. Okay, so simply put, I mean, for me to be able to explain what adaptive leadership is, I must start from the words that represent that concept, right? So adaptive, from the root word adapt. Adapt simply means to change, to modify, um, to alter, to improve, right? So those are the words that come to your mind when you hear the word adaptation or adapt. And then leadership, I mean, one of the most abused words, if you ask me. Leadership just simply means to influence, to inspire, to motivate, of course, to lead, without me using being, repetitive now in the word, but then it needs to lead, to inspire, to motivate people to carry out a specific action. Okay. Now, the essence of adaptive leadership, when you put that together, simply means to help people to navigate, to move. So when you say you're altering, that change itself means that something is moving from one place to another. So you're moving from A to B, you're moving from one idea to another idea. So change, just like the word change means, which is to alter, to modify, to improve, it means that something, the current state of that thing is being improved upon. Okay, now leadership, many people, assume that when you hear adaptive leadership, it's just some other type or style of leadership. It's not a style per se, it is a methodology, it is a philosophy, it is an approach. And I say this very clearly because usually when we hear leadership, the major styles of leadership that we are aware of are things like the authoritarian leadership styles, where my word is law, whatever I say is what happens. Then you have people that are democratic in the leadership, they always want to carry like a vote. So whatever it is that they're saying, they need people to validate their posture before they go ahead with a particular idea, and different other types of leadership. I mean, right now we even have innovative leadership, we have creative leadership, we have transformative leadership. There are all manners of leadership. People assume that adaptive leadership just wants to come and take over other styles of leadership, but that's not true. That is very, very far from the truth. The thing is this: adaptive leadership is just a way of saying um, you are approaching leadership based on the need per time. So it is literally called situational leadership. That is really what adaptive leadership is. It's situational leadership. It's that when I need to be authoritarian, which I really doubt, but sometimes you might feel like you need to put your foot down. So for instance, you have a vote, right? And you have people that have cast their votes, let's say 6-5. No, yeah, let's say 6-6. So even votes, right? So when you have a vote cast 6-6, 10-10, 8-8, your own voice would be the deciding vote. Under that circumstance, it's almost as if your own, whoever you go with, whatever idea you go with, whatever concept you go with, that is the concept that wins, if you get what I mean. So under that circumstance, within that context, you're not being authoritarian per se, but it is your own vote that counts. It is your vote that decides, whatever choices will be made. And so that's exactly how it is. So sometimes you might need to be, hard on and be like, you know what, it's my word, it's final, nothing else matters. At some other times, it is you changing your leadership to suit a particular context, to suit a particular time. What leadership is best? Are you going to, sometimes you might have to be with your team, like work with them. Some other times you might have to deal with them as superiors to subordinates. Sometimes you might have to deal with them as peers. Sometimes you might have to deal with people that are even above you. You are the subordinate, they are your superiors. So leadership on that, the idea of adaptive leadership simply means that you know what kind of leadership style to adopt per time. And then beyond that, the essence of adaptive leadership is that we recognize the fact that it's not just about your technicality. It's not just about your skills. Your capacities are great, but sometimes beyond your capacity, you must be able to think on your feet because you are going into, uncertain grounds. You're going into unfamiliar territory. So under those circumstances, you have nothing per se to fall back on. When you see a particular road, let's say you have toured a road again and again, sometimes even without being very attentive when you're driving, you can almost tell you're not very attentive, but you can almost tell, when to make a detour, when to make a turn, when to press the brakes, you know when to apply this and apply that, because you can carry on because of the fact that you have gone through it before. So there's a certainty to it, right? With adaptive leadership, it's saying that when the times are hard, when the times are unfamiliar, when the terrains are not something you are used to, it is a leadership style that allows you to thrive, that allows you not just to survive, but to thrive. So the emphasis of adaptive leadership is the ability to thrive in challenging times. And believe you me, if you're a Nigerian, now more than ever, you need to know how to thrive. You need to know how to be on top. Aha. So that is what adaptive leadership is about. So
Amazing, amazing. Because I love the emphasis you made to ability to thrive in unfamiliar terrain, in challenging times. Because when you're using the word leadership, some people say, "Oh, I'm not a leader. I'm just working here. I'm just a cleaner here." But I think it's personal. We are all leaders. At least we are leading
exactly.
ourselves. We're leading
Yeah.
ourselves. We're making decisions that affect our results in life. So it's important that we understand how why we need this at this particular time. So let's switch things a little bit. Let's look at how this affects leaders, how this affects organizations, how this affects our everyday activity in the workplace. Do we lead it as people that work in organization? How important is this to leaders in today's business world?
Okay. Thank you for that question. That's a great question. I'm going to use two different scenarios. Okay. I'm going to also lean on my own background. I mean, my experiences are the best things that I can bring, for clarity's sake. So the time that I was working in a financial services, organization, and truth of the matter is that there are some departments or units that you work at that there's an assumption of intelligence. Like these people must be the crop, must be the top of, the top pack amongst us, because I mean they're the ones that are going to deal with HNI, so the high net worth individuals, right? I mean, you can't just allow anybody to go relate with them, to engage with them, because I mean, your intellect has to be sound, your ability to articulate has to be top notch, your understanding of the bank products, and the services and the offerings that we have has to be sound, and not just what you do alone, but you have to know a little of here and there, different uh, products that happen among other business units that are separate from yours. Now, so there was this time that we had, whenever you go for, whenever people go to see their clients, they come back and then we gist. I mean, it's part of it, right? You have to engage and interact and find out how was your marketing call, how was it, how was your client, we just talk. And I realized that there seemed to be a common denominator, right? People that were very high net worth gave us very little problem. And I think it's like that everywhere. And the people that have somewhat a little more money are the ones that are going to grind you and push you and demand a lot more from you, right? And then many of them, forgetting that you have a lot of clients to visit, they want to be memorable. And it's a human need. Every human being wants to be seen. Every human being wants to
Yeah.
be heard. Every human being wants to be understood. Every human being wants to be respected, regardless of age. They want to be seen, heard, understood, and respected. Now, remember, I did not say agreed with. I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but see me,
To
understand me,
understand.
hear me. Aha, respect my position on a matter. Respect my viewpoints, even if you do not agree with it. Respect my dignity, as it were. So, anyways, going back to the story, right? So, after a while, I devised a means for me to help them to believe that they were memorable. And my friends will come and tease me and be like, how did you do that? So I'll go to a client, and maybe I saw him 2 weeks ago. Okay. And when I go to him, I'm like, you know what? Okay, let me retrace that. So that first client I went to, and the day I was with him, one of his sons barged into the office. He was embarrassed to see, like when your son shamed you like that. So he shouted at the lad, and the lad got out of his office. And, it was just a classical case of, parent-child issues, right? So I could see the shame and the embarrassment on his face. I avoided eye contact because I didn't want to worsen the way he was feeling, right? So after doing business, I just said to him that I'm sorry for all that happened, and I assure him that this is going to stay here and stuff like that, but that perhaps he just needed to relax a little bit more and be a lot more calmer. That sometimes just giving this child a listening ear is all that they require, and that God forbid that I try to tell him how to raise his child. But that this is what I thought. I mean, you should just put himself in the child's shoes. How would you feel if your parent did that to you? How did you used to feel as a teenager? Sometimes we forget that we have once behaved like, and then he just smiled at me and said, thank you, and that was how the business deal went and everything. And then a couple of weeks after, I had to see him again. And, I saw many other clients, obviously. I had to see him again. And when I saw him, in passing, just very casually, I didn't make a fuss of it. I just said to him that, as when the person's name is Bolu, I just said, so how is Bolu doing? I hope he has improved. I hope, your relationship with Bolu has really improved, and that you guys are now like 5 and 6, you're now tight again. And he was just like, oh my goodness, you even remember his name? As in, you remember my son's name? And his eyes lit up, and he was all smiles, and he was grinning from ear to ear. He was excited and everything. I mean, he just had this warm feeling. He was full of warmth and love, because he felt like, wow, this was not just something that happened yesterday. It happened a couple of weeks ago. And she did not just remember the event, she remembered the child's name, you know. And so after that thing, a colleague of mine that followed me to the meeting was like, auntie, like, how did you remember his name? I mean, you make many customers all the time. To even remember the customer's name is a big deal. Talk less of remembering names of the children that, I mean, for crying out loud, I was just a child you met that one time. And then I said to her that what I do is, I put myself in their shoes. How would they want to be? How would they want to feel? And so I make small notes. Now, this is going above and beyond what the bank expects you to do. I make small notes under their phone. So, in your phone, your contact phone, right? Your contact list, rather, for your phone, you have a column for notes. You know that, right? Every phone contact has notes. I have under the notes, I put dates. So let's say today is the 24th, right, of November, Friday 24th. Like Friday F24 23. I just put coded notes there. I'm like, Bolu, Mr. Bright's son, Bolu, upset. I just put it in a way that I'll remember. And the truth of the matter is that when I leave your office, I literally forget about you. I'm sorry to put this out there, but that's the truth, because I have a lot more people to deal with, right? And I had to be fully present with each person. So that is how that one went. So what I did was that as I knew that I had another appointment with this man, I quickly looked at my cheat notes, right? My cheat sheets. And then I remembered, hey, okay, this is the man that's his son, blah, 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 the other day, And so I was prepared, right? So when I got to him and I said that, he was that felt that I relied on my memory. Perhaps I will not have forgotten. Now I cannot forget it because I've said it again and again, so I can remember in detail. But then I see so many people, I might not have remembered. So to ensure that I do not forget something that I know that we pull on the heartstrings of my clients, I had to make that mental note. And that's exactly what it is. It just means going a little, just doing the little extra, going above and beyond, putting yourself seriously in someone else's shoes. That's exactly what it means. Another side to it, when it comes to maybe the organizational level, because sometimes you go to an organization and you realize that things have always been done the same way, right? And you need to switch things up. Your clients now they are tired of your vanilla offerings. They want something exotic. They demand more from you right now. And so you tell yourself, what can I do to ensure that I meet and surpass my clients' expectations? You have a team of people. Many of us do not leverage our teams enough. We undermine the quality of staff that we have. I mean, if they were not great people to begin with, they won't have entered into your employment, right? You won't have, I mean, they went through a process to get employed.
Yeah.
So it's important that you trust them enough to continue to be sources of ideas for you. So sometimes just the way that you engage your members of staff will determine the quality of ideas that you get out of them. Again, remember, people want to feel seen, heard, understood, respected. Once you can tick these four things, the likelihood of getting them to be at their best, even when they are tired, they would always just want to give forth a lot more. They want to push themselves in a little more for you. And that brings us to two aspects of adaptive leadership. There's the capacity building aspect and then the character building aspect. Both of them are equally important. You cannot leave out the capacity, which refers to your skills, the things you know how to do, maybe the way you know how to talk, your writing skills, your ability to communicate efficiently, your ability to look at a credit and do it well, your ability to, maybe if you're a shoemaker, your ability to come up with quality products that do not have, if you're a tailor, your ability to come up with well finished clothes. All those things are great. That is your capacity. Those are your skill set. Another aspect of that leadership is your character. Nobody, no matter how awesome you are, if your character stinks, it's only a matter of time. Your smell will fill the room, and nobody wants to have anything to do with you. People want to avoid you once they realize that you are a stinking person, literally. So that's another aspect of adaptive leadership. It also speaks to character. So it means that it's important for you to, be emotionally intelligent. It's important for you to know how to communicate. It's important for you to be able to read the room. It's important for you to have empathy. It's important for you to be kind. All of those little things, the characters, the things that really make us us. It's important for you to be resilient. Those are the little things, that add up together to make this wonderful body of knowledge called adaptive leadership. I hope that
Amazing.
answered your question.
Yes, you'll be wonderful. You'll be
Don't mind
wonderful. So,
me. I can go on and on because it's something I love to talk about. So
I'm, I'm used to having you on set. I know you will do justice to the topic. That's why I said you are the one to do this. Okay, so you said it talks about capacity, it talks about character. We'll come to capacity, but let's look at character because for business owners in Nigeria, this is a time that their character is being tested. A
mm,
lot is happening in the marketplace, and people are doing everything and anything possible, to survive, to stay afloat, to still be in business. So, what should the character of entrepreneurs be like now? It's a very challenging time in Nigeria now. I'm sorry that we are
mm,
saying Nigeria because we have people from different parts of the country,
for the
but we need
country.
to have this part of the world. But we need to have this conversation so that people understand what their roles are. So, what should their character be like for business people, for entrepreneurs, people that still believe in this country, still have businesses, still trying to sell to somebody? What should their character be like in this challenging time? So, linking it to adaptive leadership.
Leadership. That's another great question. I think that it's important at such a juncture in our life, I mean, at such a place, crossroad in our life, to be very, very specific about the things that we will tolerate and the things that we will not, who we will
Okay.
be and who we will not be. A friend of mine, which is always saying that you do not learn how to fight during the day of battle, right? You must have built up a certain skills and values and belief systems, philosophies that guide you, that drive you, that anchor you way before the tough times come. because when the tough times come, it's even difficult for you to begin to quickly query those things because they're literally thinking on your feet. You're having to like
Yeah.
respond, per time, and you really have very little time to reflect and to calm down and process and thoroughly process things. Now, having said that, I always say that with the issue of values, I think people just have to determine what values are important to them. Personally, I am driven by family, by integrity, by love, by regard, by I have an acronym for it. Let me take that again. So F for me is family, I for me is integrity, right? Um, E for me is excellence, R is regard, then another E is empathy, then the last L is love, then learning. Yeah, learning and love. Those are the things that drive me. So for me to make a decision on any business, it has to check those values of mine. Will this thing affect my family negatively? Will this thing allow me to be the best of myself? Will it allow me to work with them with love, nothing less than love? Will it allow me to work with excellence? Excellence is another one for me. Will it allow me to work with excellence? Will it allow me to be able to learn more about myself, learn more about the person, learn more about the concept? So most often than not, it has to tick my values. Now, remember that all of these values for me, I've set them, but in terms of interpretation, some other person might hear these same values and interpret them differently. But be sure that beyond just knowing what the values are, your interpretation of that value means something to you. So that whenever you are confronted with something, you know that this thing does not check my integrity as a value. I can't do it. I can't touch it. And this thing, if you're somebody that has excellence, this thing, I won't be able to do it excellently. So when people tell you to cut corners, and you know that if you take only 60% of the money that you are going to sign for as the actual money to carry out that contract, to carry out that project, you have to determine, can 60% do an excellent job?
Yeah.
If it cannot, then you have no business taking that job. Because at the end of the day, whatever profits you want to make, weigh those profits against the value that you have. Now, this is very tough. I know it's very, very hard. I used to tell someone that, Kai, sometimes I used to wish that I could steal, because I've been confronted and faced with instances where I saw the money. And a part of me kind of knew that if I took this money, nobody will know. Like it will be clean, like chop clean mouth, like very clean, traceless, traceless transaction. But I am constrained by my values. I am restrained by my value, by my belief, by those things because they anchor me. And truth of the matter is that if someone said that if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything, right? And that cannot be more true than now. People would test your boundaries. People in Yoruba, they would say, "Oma filo kulo loe." People would, try to just, bait you. They'll put like a fish bait. They'll put a worm on that line, the fishing line, and try to bait you to see if you will take the bait. So you have to ensure that you are constantly checking with yourself and that you are self-aware enough to know that what is yours is yours and that you will get what is yours and that you will be profitable despite the chaos, despite the decline, despite all that is happening around. You will actually be able to get what is yours because of the value that you carry. You should be able to communicate value in such a way that whoever it is that wants to buy, that wants to exchange money for your services, will know that the value that you're offering is so critical that it's unlikely that they get that level of quality anywhere else. And so, no matter what happens, you'll be the preferred person because of the kind of value that you have. So now more than ever, I don't want to have to say to you, this particular character is more important. But the matter is that for everyone, dignity of person for me is the character that everybody must have. Communication, I also think, is a basic one for me. Because in communication does not mean your ability to speak phone. I'm saying your ability to communicate clearly, without ambiguity, clearly that when you say this, let it be that is what they're hearing. Do not say one thing and say that's not what I meant. And then your ability to communicate with regard. Remember, I said everybody wants to be respected. To communicate with regard. Many of us have very poor etiquettes, communication, etiquettes, especially when it comes to maybe answering phone calls, when it comes to chatting, even something, just because of the fact that, for instance, you and I chatted over WhatsApp, right? The fact that it's WhatsApp doesn't mean that you should chat mindless. You can still chat with us with professionalism. You can still chat with excellence. You can still chat with regard. When you meet somebody in the morning and I physically, you would say good morning, right? It's
Yeah.
just simple regard, courtesy. You should be able to do that when you're sending a message as well. But many of us just send it mindlessly. And we give excuses like I was busy, I was doing something, I just responded, and stuff like that. So all of those little things right now more than ever matter. Those are the kind of characters that I think that matter. Because again, it's not so much as the big things, but the little things. And the little things usually are what make up, the large things. The Bible says that the little foxes spoil the vine, right? So sometimes about those little things that become irritants, and then they can destroy your whole life's work or destroy your all that you wanted to get done. So it's important to be professional, I think, for people that are career minded, and then just be somebody that respects the dignity of person, somebody that has, that would talk to somebody else the way they would want to be spoken to, that would relate, engage, interact with somebody else the way they would want to be interacted with. I think that would be it for me. That would be the summary of that.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so quickly, let's look at capacity. Because do you think individuals that our capacity has to, has to come to play this time around? Because, like we said earlier, it's a challenging time, and we really need to adapt to what, to be able to stay afloat. So, does the capacity of leaders matter now than ever?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, absolutely. So again, I would have to lean towards the team. I always say that leaders, if everyone took leadership seriously, you will not even be afraid of dishing out instructions to your team members, because as leaders, they would hear what you're saying and they will pick up on even the non-verbal cues of what you're saying, and they would know exactly how to act on that instruction. So many of us have this leadership followership mentality. The truth of the matter is that you can be a leader of leaders, and that is the best kind of team to have. You know, when you are a leader of followers, the truth of the matter is that after a while, it drains you. You just realize that you keep giving and giving and giving and pouring and expecting so much, and you get so little back in return. But if you are a leader of leaders, you are able to, everyone is just like in the spirit, like everyone just knows what to do. You say this and they're like, oh yeah, I got you. And if somebody else has something else to add, it is along the lines of your vision. They understand the bigger picture and they help you run with it. It can be very, I mean, do you see how it is when you see those cattle rearers, the headsman, when he's with a stick and he's pushing, the cattle here and there and pushing sometimes the sheep, or whether they are, cows or whatever, just pushing them, the flock. It can be very frustrating because one just goes out, like like a tangent. One will just go out of the pack, and then you have to leave the other one and chase that one that is far away. But if you had leaders, if you had people that have basic understanding, basic skill sets, then it will be easy for you to be a leader to such a crop of people. So I always say that it is important for leaders to invest in the people that they lead so that they can have a pack of leaders, so that everyone can ensure that they are working together as a team to get the job done. I mean, the essence of any business is to make profit, right? So you should be able to duplicate, not even duplicate, you should be able to have people that are better than you working with and for you, so that you are certain that the quality of outputs will just be the same quality, if not better, than the quality that you would have put out. Let me take that again. It's important for you to have a crop of people that work with you so that you can be certain that the quality of work outputs will be just as much, if not better, than the quality of output that you would have, that the quality of work that you would have put out yourself. That is the beauty of having any team. It is such a wonder to talk with people that get you, that understand you, that understand the vision, that know where you're headed, that already have a mental picture of where you are headed. And so when you're working with them, it just makes things easier. It makes the turnaround time is a lot shorter, it's lesser. And so it's important for us we have a personal responsibility to invest in our own leadership as personal leadership, right? Self-leadership, then we have a responsibility to ensure that we are grooming, we are inspiring, we are motivating the people that work with us to also be great as leaders. So that even when we are not there, things will continue to go on. Before it was a bragging right for you to be able to say, when I'm not there, nothing happens. When I leave the organization like this, it will just crumble. Like, no, it's no longer a bragging right. It should be a thing of shame. That you mean you influence nobody, you do not inspire anyone, you do not help someone, you do not push someone, you do not no now, but you do not improve on anyone throughout your stay in a place. That once you leave, the place actually crumbles. No, it's no longer a bragging right. It is a shame, and it is, it is a dent on your leadership style. If you cannot replicate yourself at the minimum, you should be able to replicate yourself. Better still, you should be able to improve. People that come after you should be better than you. And this, talking about capacity, now that IT is such a big deal, you can't be saying that there's one thing that you don't want to learn. You might not learn it to the tiny, to the teeny mini detail of it, but you must have a basic knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
When you when you talk about proficiency levels, right? You talk about basic proficiency, intermediate proficiency.
Yeah.
You talk about experts. You must have basic proficiency in some things. IT, anything tech.
Yeah.
Know the basics of it. You need to take a document, you need to go to an app and query the app and just go around and have a sense of what the app can do. You should be able to just little things. You're asking about
Yeah.
StreamYard. I mean, you don't have to have used it before. With a link, you should be able to just quickly look. Okay, this thing they wrote, you are in the show, everyone can see and hear you. Then there's another one, you are in the back room. The host, it's English after all, right? So there should be a
Take
basic,
care of yourself.
so there should be basic understanding of something. The fact that you're a human being means that there's some basic things you should just know how to do.
And you have the capacity and ability to learn. I mean, you can just
Yes,
check yourself, find
exactly.
out how this thing works and how it can help my work, make my work better, easier, faster.
Mm.
That's why these tools are there for us. Thank you so much, Ma. It's
It,
been an
and not
amazing
to
time
say,
with you.
let
And
me let me let me quickly say two things. What does that make me remember? Because I always want to say these two things. I have a mentor of mine that says those two things, and I like using those two things as well. No matter who you are as a
all right.
human being, whether you're a leader or not, you must have these two things: the willingness, the willingness to learn, or the openness to
Mm-hmm.
learn, and the willingness to change. You must
Mm.
have the willingness to learn. Continuous improvement, continuous learning should be something that is a value for you. And then the willingness to change, to say, okay, if there's superior knowledge today, some beliefs that I've held on for the longest time, am I able to query those beliefs? Am I able to audit them and determine if they need to go
Mm-hmm.
for superior positive
Mm.
knowledge coming? So those two things, the openness to learn and the willingness to change. If there's anything that you will take from me today, it is adaptive leadership. About change, you must have the openness to want to learn more and the willingness to be accepting of change, positive change, because somebody shouted change some years ago and we know where that got us. So we must be careful now whenever we say change. It has to be positive change.
We we need to be clear now. Which change are we expecting now?
Positive change.
Thank you so much. So,
You
it's amazing having you here. So, your final words, a minute or two. What are your final words? What's that final
know,
advice you're giving to our audience listening to us today? What should that one word or one sentence be?
it should be that you either win or you win. Like really, you either win or you win. Or
Mm-hmm.
um, now more than ever, you can't doubt yourself. You mustn't. You either win
Okay.
or you win. Find legitimate legal ways to win. If you have to be visible, be visible.
Mm.
If you have to go to meet someone that you never go and meet, go and ask
Okay.
for help. If you have to ask to share a platform, there's nothing wrong with it. The worst answer you get is a no. Whatever ideas come to your mind, try and
Mm.
act with them immediately. Like I said, the worst that happens is get a no, and then you move on to the next idea. So you either win or you win
mm,
within legitimate bounds, within
mm.
legitimate boundaries rather. You either win or you win. That will
Thank
be
you.
it.
Or you win. I got you either win or you win. And you must find legitimate legal ways to win. That's my take home today. Thank you so much. It was amazing
Welcome.
having you today. I learned a lot, and I know people will always watch later. We have some persons that are watching live. People will watch later, and they'll be grateful that today they learned this from you. Thank you so much, man, and I look
Thank you
forward to doing this with you next time. Have a
very
great
much. God
evening.
bless you.
Thank you so much, man.